Right. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. Let's begin our session. Second. This is day 8 AWS. Okay, day 8 session AWS. So let's recap for a few minutes, like what we have seen in the previous session. In the yesterday session, like we have gone through, we have understood like what is cross-region replication. We understood the concept of cross-region replication, and we also understood different types of storage classes available, and also the lifecycle management. So the next thing is like we are now trying to understand what is transfer acceleration. That's the reason uh, we are walking through this transfer acceleration. Let's go through this transfer acceleration. What is transfer acceleration and why actually it is required? It is one of the features in S3. Suppose if we are working with S3, simple storage service, how we have enabled the cross-region replication and how we enabled the other features like static website hosting, versioning, like all these features, how we have enabled all these features. In the same way, we have another feature called transfer acceleration. So meaning, if we enable transfer acceleration, what happens is, and whenever an user is trying to upload the objects into the S3, whenever user uploads objects into the S3, usually what happens is the data will be moved to the edge locations. And you can see here we have users, and the users are very nearer to the edge locations. Okay, these are different from the regions. Actually, in AWS, if we really understand like how many data centers we have in the AWS, we can go for AWS global infrastructure. AWS global infrastructure. Just showing you. I'm just opening the AWS global infrastructure, and you see now today or how many. I'm just going for how many regions we have. How many total number of regions we have in the AWS. We can also see here regions and availability zones. Total number of regions. Yes. And here you can see we can see by going through the AWS global infrastructure. Okay, in the Google, just we can type like AWS global infrastructure so that we can understand how many regions that we have today. And at the same time, AWS will also have some edge locations. Totally 34 launched regions. Okay, today, as of today, AWS is having 34 launched regions, 34 regions. And even in each and every region, each and every region has multiple availability zones. The zones are different, regions are different. Okay, as of today, AWS is having 34 launched regions, and each and every region is having multiple availability zones. So as I told you, if suppose AP South 1 is one region, AP South 1 is one region. Under AP South 1, we have AP South 1A, AP South 1B, AP South 1C. These are all the availability zones under AP South 1 region. Okay. Like that, totally how many availability zones are there? For all the 34 regions, we have totally 108 availability zones. And now we are talking about edge locations. I'm talking about edge locations. I'll show you how many edge locations we have. AWS edge locations. We can search in the Google like a total how many edge locations we have. AWS edge locations. Anywhere we see how many edge locations we have in the AWS. Nearly some 250 plus edge locations are there. We can search in the Google, and we can go through the AWS documentation. For nearly 250 plus edge locations are there. But for now, we need to understand what are these edge locations. What is the use of edge locations? Okay. Edge locations are different from the regions. We have the regions and we have availability zones. What is a region? Region is nothing but a data center. You know what is a region? If I'm talking about region, Mumbai is one region, Sydney is one region, Singapore is one region, meaning AWS is having its infrastructure in all those regions. Mumbai, Singapore, US East, US and Virginia, US East one, US West one. There are many regions like AWS is having its infrastructure in all those regions. And under each and every region, we have availability zones. At the same time, AWS is also having some tiny data centers, very small data centers. Region is nothing but a data center. Region is nothing but a data center. How many AWS data centers are there? Just now I have shown you. Total 34. In 34 regions, AWS have its, in 34 regions, totally AWS is having its infrastructure in 34 regions. Meaning AWS is having 34 data centers. And AWS is also having edge centers. Edge centers are nothing but tiny, small data centers. So why we are talking about edge locations? Totally some 250 plus edge locations are there. When you say as of now, as of today, it is 400. Okay. Why? Because the regions has been increased, right? The regions has been increased. So today, as of now, AWS is having over 400 edge locations globally. AWS is having 400 edge locations globally. So what is the use of edge locations? Why? Because we are now talking about S3 transfer acceleration. We are now understanding what is transfer acceleration. You can easily understand now what is an edge location and all. Suppose if the user wants to upload it, if user has created a bucket in US region, okay, consider user has created a bucket in the user has created a bucket in the US East or US West one region. In some US region, user has created a bucket and he wants to upload the objects into the bucket. Usually user is in India. Consider user is in India. And if user wants to upload an object into the bucket which is created in US region, so usually there will be latency. Like why? Because the distance between the user and the region, okay, the distance between the user and data center is too long. Maybe there will be some latency while uploading the object. So that's the reason why, to avoid those kind of latencies, AWS is having its edge locations. For example, if a user is trying to upload an object into the US region, first the object will not get uploaded into the US East region. First the object will get uploaded into its nearest edge location. It is also a data center. First the object, whenever user is trying to upload object into the US region, the object will not get uploaded into the US region first. The object will be uploaded to the nearest data center, nearest tiny data center, which is called as edge location. These are the edge locations. Can you see the orange color ones here? Orange color ones, which are very nearer to the user, and this orange color one, which is called as edge location. First, the data will be uploaded. The object will be uploaded into the edge location. From the edge location, the data will be moved to the data center, main data center where you want to upload. Why we are having these edge locations? Suppose if you directly upload the object from here to this particular location, maybe there will be some latency because of some distance, because of large distance and all. Definitely, we might face some issues. And maybe we see some slowness while uploading the object, while accessing the objects, all those things. But if you enable transfer acceleration, it is also one of the features in the S3. When we go to the S3 service, we will see if you create an S3 bucket, under the properties of S3 bucket, you will find transfer acceleration. And if you enable transfer acceleration, it is billable. It is billable. Okay, you need to pay additional charges. If we enable transfer acceleration, we need to pay additional charges. What happens if we enable transfer acceleration? We cannot see the practicals of this transfer acceleration, because the only thing is like we can identify the difference in the speed, in terms of speed. If you enable transfer acceleration, or before you enable a transfer acceleration, the objects that you are uploading, okay, you can observe the difference in the speed of uploading the objects. Hope you understand the meaning, the concept of transfer acceleration, right? So usually AWS is having its data centers totally. As of today, I have shown you 34 data centers are there. You know the meaning of data center. Data center is nothing but region. And Mumbai, how many data centers do you know? How many data centers we have in India? Do you know how many data centers we have in India for Amazon? AWS data centers in India. You can search like AWS data center in India. I'm just going for AWS regions. Okay, they are nothing but AWS regions. Regions are nothing but data centers, right? How many data centers? In India, we have only two regions, two data centers. One is in Mumbai, other one is in Hyderabad. AWS is having two cloud regions. AWS operates two cloud regions. One is in Mumbai, the other one is in Hyderabad. The very first one is in Mumbai. The very first one they have launched is in Mumbai. Later, they have launched in Hyderabad. As of today, we have two regions where AWS operates its infrastructure, Mumbai and Hyderabad. These are the two data centers. And you know how many edge locations we have? AWS edge locations in India. You can also search like this AWS edge locations, particularly in India. Totally in the world, we have some over 400. More than 400 locations are there. AWS is having multiple edge locations in India. In Mumbai itself, you see here, there are many edge locations. In India, we have many multiple edge locations. Edge locations are nothing but tiny data centers. Edge locations are nothing but tiny data centers. Don't confuse that they are not similar to the region. They are very small, tiny data centers. In Mumbai, we have some 10 locations okay. New Delhi, we have 7 locations. Chennai is there, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kolkata. These are all the places where we have small, 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 tiny data centers for AWS. The main data centers are in Mumbai and Hyderabad. That's fine. AWS is having its edge locations in these regions, in these locations. In Mumbai itself, it has in 10 locations. In New Delhi, it has in 7 locations. In Chennai, it has 7 locations. Okay. So what is edge location? Edge locations are the data centers that deliver the content to the users quickly. That delivers the content to the users quickly, being located near them, near to them. Okay. So I told you, right, one example. Just now I told you one example where when the edge locations come into the picture. Suppose if I enable transfer acceleration, that time those edge locations will be enabled. Meaning user can able to upload the objects into the edge locations. From the edge locations, the data will be moved to the data centers to avoid the latencies, to speed up the access, to faster the to faster uploading to upload the objects very faster. We are going for this transfer acceleration. Hope you are able to understand. Like you got it right. So what is the use of this? Any doubts in understanding what is transfer acceleration? And I have shown you where we are going to enable the transfer acceleration. Let me show here. I'm going to the service called S3. I'm just going to the service called S3 and go to the buckets. Yesterday, we have created two buckets. One is Mumbai bucket, the other one is Sydney bucket. Just open the Mumbai bucket. Go to the properties. Each and every bucket is having some tabs, right? Objects tab, properties tab, permissions like this. Go to the properties. Slowly scroll down and you will see some option like transfer acceleration. The use of enabling this one is like faster data transfers. Why we are enabling this one? For faster data transfers. So if I enable this one, by default it is disabled. Anyhow, we have enabled it yesterday. If you enable this one, we need to pay additional charges. And the advantage we will be having is first the data will be moved to the small tiny data centers. And from there, the data will be moved to the original locations, so the destinations which you wanted to upload. Okay, everything is for faster data transfer only. Okay, this is about transfer acceleration. So you got some knowledge on what is a data center, what is edge location, and what are availability zones. They are different. Data centers are different. Availability zones are different. Edge locations are different. Okay. And now let's understand one more concept, which is called encryption. Okay, encryption. So users are trusting AWS. AWS is also saying that we are providing security for your data. How can AWS provide security? The AWS is providing security by implementing the encryption mechanism. We have encryption mechanism. Okay. This is also one of the feature where you can enable this one. Usually we can see here, go to the buckets. If I go to the bucket, we can see the encryption of, let me go to the properties. somewhere we will see the default encryption. Can you see the default encryption? This is what we're talking about now. Okay, this is what we're talking about. So usually the encryption will be enabled. Encryption will be enabled. Encryption won't be disabled. Okay, encryption will be enabled. So what is this encryption? Encryption is nothing but we have multiple algorithms here. Okay, we'll be having multiple algorithms. So we have Amazon S3 managed keys, AWS key management service. Okay, and usually the encryption can be discussed in two ways. Suppose if what I'm talking about is if you are uploading any particular object here, let me go to the bucket. Inside the bucket, we have some objects. Okay, we don't have any objects for now. Suppose if I upload any object into this bucket, usually for the data that you are uploading, the encryption mechanism will be applied. So what is the use of encryption you might aware of? What is the use of encryption? What is the general meaning of encryption? Encryption is nothing but like usually the encryption meaning is converting the plain text into ciphertext. The meaning of encryption is converting the plain text data into ciphertext. And we also have a concept of decryption, right? Decryption stands for converting ciphertext into plain text. What is the actual meaning of plain text and ciphertext? Any idea? So what I'm saying is like we have encryption. Okay, we have encryption. Encryption is nothing but converting from plain text to ciphertext. And we also have a security concept like decryption. Decryption is nothing but converting from ciphertext to plain text. This is plain text to ciphertext. Okay, this is plain text to ciphertext. And similarly, we also have another thing called ciphertext to plain text. So converting from plain text to ciphertext is called encryption. Converting from ciphertext to plain text is decryption. So now we are talking about encryption mechanism. Encryption under S3. Usually by default, the encryption will be enabled. Okay, there are two types of encryption actually. Single encryption and double encryption. Single encryption and double encryption. There are two types of mechanisms here. In S3, we can see single encryption and double encryption. Okay, first, if we understand the meaning of encryption, then we'll go for what is single encryption and what is double encryption. Suppose, for example, I'm having some message, okay? I'm sending some message like I'm going to store some data. I'm having a file. Inside the file, I'm having some data. Just take an example, like I'm having some data like, how are you? This is the data I'm having inside the file. So usually whatever the data you are storing inside the S3, the storage part, so the data will not be stored as it is. Usually the data will be encrypted while you store it in the storage. If you're uploading any data, the data will not be stored as it is. The data will be encrypted for security reasons. For security reasons, even though if someone hacks the file, they won't be able to understand the content which is present inside the file. But that's the reason why the encryption algorithms are applied. There are single encryption algorithms and double encryption algorithms. Okay, suppose if it is how are you? So usually the encryption mechanism is like if we take the alphabet, so if you there are many algorithms. Okay, there are various types of algorithms where we can encrypt this text into different ways. Suppose if the first letter is H, right? Alphabetically after H, okay, after H, usually we'll get I. Okay, what is O? After O, we'll get P. After W, X, we'll get X. So can you see now, if I take a single word, how, usually this will be converted into IPX. Do you know the logic? We know the logic. Actually, we converted it from plain text to ciphertext. This is the plain text. How is plain text? And that plain text will be converted into ciphertext. And for that, we are using a key. What is the key here? Encryption key we are using is +1 alphabet. +1 alphabet, meaning H is, after H, we will be getting I. After O, we will be getting P. After W, we will be getting X. So whatever the letters we have here, whatever the characters we have here, so it will convert that by adding one more character. Okay, it will take the next character and it will convert that into ciphertext. This is called ciphertext. This is plain text. How is plain text? And this is called ciphertext. So while storing the data, it won't store the data, or otherwise while transferring the data. When you are uploading the data into S3, usually during transfer process, during transferring, during you, otherwise you, whenever you upload your data, during this transfer process, data will be encrypted. This is how the encrypted. This is plain text and this is the ciphertext. Data will be encrypted like this. This is the encrypted form. So there will be some encryption keys also. Without this key, we cannot decrypt again. Okay, whenever you upload or whenever you want to access the data, whenever you retrieve the data or whenever you upload the data, usually the encrypted data will be encrypted. So for that, we are applying by default, the encryption is enabled in S3. And there are two types of encryptions. One is single encryption and the other one is double encryption. And here, going for Mumbai bucket, properties, you see here, default encryption. Encryption is automatically applied to objects. Encryption is automatically applied to the objects in the bucket. And if you want to edit, you see here, what is the encryption what is the type of the encryption? We have different types of encryption, server-side encryption with Amazon S3, Amazon Key Management Service. Okay, these are the different algorithms, SSC S3, SSC KMS, DSSC KMS. This is dual layer, double encryption. Double encryption, 2 times it will be encrypted, dual layer encryption. So single encryption is different, dual encryption is different. So far, what I have explained you, if there is a ode, this particular text is converted into ciphertext by using only one key, which is called single encryption. If it uses another key, suppose if there is an IPX, again it uses some key called +1. Again it uses some key called +1. Again it will convert the characters. What comes after I? We'll get J. Okay. What comes after P? We'll get Q. What comes after X? We'll get Y. So we are converting, it is encrypting. Okay, this is the original content. This is encrypting by using this particular key. So this is the content we are getting. Again, the second time it will go for encryption. This is how the second time encryption will takes place. So why I'm explaining all these things is like we should understand like what is the use of encryption. Encryption is mainly for the security reasons. We have some security algorithms here. We can apply a single encryption or double encryption. If you enable single encryption, the billing charges will be lower. If you enable double encryption, dual layer encryption, the billing you must be billing. Okay, you will be billing for higher charges. Okay, you might be billed for higher costs. Any questions in understanding what is encryption and what are the types of encryption we have? There are two types of encryption: single and double. Algorithms itself, you have this option, right? When you select this one, you are applying, it is nothing but it is applying dual layer encryption. These are the algorithms. These are the algorithms. Okay. Based on this algorithm, it will encrypt the text and it will decrypt the text. So I think we have understood all these contents, whatever the content that we wanted to discuss yesterday. We have understood like CRR, cross-region replication, storage classes, transfer acceleration. Also understood about lifecycle management, encryption, all these things. These are the main things. Mainly we focus on S3. Okay. And we also need to discuss. Okay. We also need to discuss about like how we are going to interact with the AWS cloud. Okay. Let's understand how we are going to interact with the AWS cloud. How we are going to interact with the AWS cloud by using CLI. Do you know we have an AWS CLI? CLI stands for command line interface. As I told you, this is an AWS user interface. I'm just trying to log into the AWS account. I can see how many buckets are there. If I want to upload an object, I will just click on the bucket. I will go for upload object. I'm just interacting to the AWS account by using GUI. Now I am interacting to the AWS account by using GUI. GUI stands for graphical user interface. If I would like to interact with the AWS account by using CLI, command line interface, that also happens. What is command line interface? I'll open the command prompt and I'll try to interact with the AWS cloud by using commands. That also we'll understand. Okay, once we are done with IAM concept, we'll understand like we will practice both S3 commands and IAM commands there. Let's go to today's agenda. We are now going to discuss about a service called IAM. We are now going to discuss about a service called IAM. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. There is a service called IAM. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. Let's understand what is IAM. Okay. Let's go. Let me give you the brief introduction about IAM. IAM is related to the administration part. IAM is related to the administration. Usually AWS admins will take care of the service. Okay. But usually everyone should know what is IAM. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management Service. It is a service in AWS Cloud. What is the purpose of this service? Let's understand. Let's understand practically. Every company, suppose if you are working in some company, every company will have only one AWS root account. They won't create multiple accounts. If some 100 users are working, if some 100 employees are there, if some 100 employees are working in AWS Cloud, they won't create they won't create separate accounts for each user. That's not at all possible, right? Every company will have only one AWS root account. Do you know what is root account? So now we are able to create one AWS account, and now we are logging to the account with the root user credentials, right? It is asking root user email ID, and it is asking for the password. We are entering those credentials, we are passing those credentials, and we are logging to the AWS account. Try to understand, every company will have one AWS root account. Each and every company will have only one AWS root account, which is called, see, who creates the account? Suppose, for example, I am having this account, okay? I created this account. I am the owner of this account. I am the owner of this account. That's the reason why, how I am trying to, again, I'm just signing out. I'm just signing out. I would like to log into this account. How I am going to log in? I'll just click on sign into the console. It will ask for the credentials. Where I'm going here, I'm just trying to, I will log in by using this one. Sign in using root user email. We are all logged in for now. After creating AWS account, we are just signing into the AWS account by using root user credentials. If you observe here, AWS is having root users and IAM users. I told you the full form of IAM. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. And what I'm trying to say is, each and every company will have only one root user account. And all the other users, only one root account will be there, and all the others who are working, all the employees who are working on the AWS cloud, they will be having IAM accounts. They will log in by using IAM credentials. Only admin can log in by using root user credentials. All others can log in by using IAM credentials. Okay. So for now, this is the root user. Usually how we will log into the AWS account, we will select root user. We will provide the email address of the root user, and we will provide the password of the root user. Then we will log into the AWS account. Okay. Consider. What I'm doing is, I'm just trying to log in by using my root user email address and password. I'm just trying to log in by using root user email address and password. That's it. And after login to the cloud, after login to the AWS account, I'm able to see the page like this. Okay. And you see here, when I'm going to the profile section here at the corner, right corner, I'm able to see each and every root user will have an account ID. This is the account ID. Each and every user will have an account ID. I'm talking about root user, okay? Each and every root user will have an account ID. Once they create an account, usually if they have a root account, they will be having an account ID. Every root user account will be shown like this only. But you see, I am the admin of this account, okay? Or otherwise, you just assume that this is a company account. This is the company account. Each and every company will have only one account. And two new people are joined in the company. Okay. Two new people are joined in the company. So who are those new people? Let's assume two new people have joined the company. Venkat has joined and Chandrakant has joined. Both of them has joined a company. And they joined here to work on AWS cloud. Okay. They joined here to work on the AWS cloud. And I would like to provide, consider I am the admin, I would like to provide access to Venkat, and I would like to provide access to Chandrakant also. Why? Because I need to provide access. I need to provide AWS account access to both of them. How I am going to provide AWS account access to both of them? Let me show you how I am going to provide. I'll go to the service called IAM. I'll be going to a service called IAM. I'll select IAM service. Under IAM, this is how the IAM dashboard looks like. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. I told you the two new people have joined, Venkat and Chandrakant. I would like to provide access to them for the AWS account. They're asking for AWS account access. I would like to provide them. So I can't provide the root user credentials to them. If I am the admin, if I'm having the root user credentials, I can't provide the root user credentials to them. That is not at all good. That is not a good practice. I need to create an IAM users and I need to provide them the access. I need to create them as an IAM users and I need to provide them the access. Let me show you how I am going to add them as IAM users. I am going to a service called IAM, Identity and Access Management. This is the dashboard of IAM. And if you scroll down the next navigation, the left navigation, in the left navigation, you can able to see the users. Users, just click on the users. We don't have any users so far. We don't have any users so far. I would like to create a new user, okay? I'm just creating a new user called Venkat. I would like to create a new user called Venkat. And I would like to provide access to him to the AWS Management Console. Okay. Yes, I'm selecting this one. I'm just going for the next option. And I think we need to enable this. Enable in this account only. I'm continuing. Enable. So what it is asking? So all these things were newly added. Earlier, actually, earlier it won't. Earlier, it was not asking to enable the IAM Identity Center, but now it has been. It is asking now to enabling the Identity Center for creating the users. Okay. Okay, that's fine. But what I am trying to do is I will go to the IAM service. I'm going to the users. For now, I would like to add the user. Which user I would like to add? I would like to add Venkat. Okay. And I am going to, usually it is asking many options for now. Send an email to this user, the password instructions. All these things it is asking. Yeah, you can see here. We need to fill up all this information. Okay. I would like to create a new user called Venkat. Okay. When I'm trying to create a new user called Venkat, it is asking for the other information like mail, email address, confirm email address, all these things. I'll simply provide some information. Okay. I'll simply try to give some information. Like, let me show you. I would like to create a new user called Vamsi. Okay. I would like to create a new user called Vamsi. And I'm going to provide some information here, email address, all those things. So hope you understood, right? What we are doing is I'm having only one root account. Each and every company will have only one root account. And if other users join the company, if I want to provide them the access, definitely I should be adding them. Definitely I should add them as an IAM users. Okay, even if I have some 100 employees, all the 100 employees must be provided with IAM accounts. I need to add them as an IAM user so that I need to provide them the credentials so that they can log in by using IAM credentials. Can you see here? We are at the IAM service. How to go to the IAM service? I'm going back. Please go back to the IAM. Just click on IAM, manage access to the AWS services. Click on IAM. Click on the IAM. You can go to the users. For now, I'm creating a user. I'm just going for creating a user called Venkat. I'm providing access to him. I'm just going for the next one. It is asking this will take you to the AWS Identity Center console. Okay, whenever I add him, see, whenever I'm trying to add him, it is directly asking to go for 1 second. Let me go back and show you, leaving the page. Go to the users. I'm showing you now how to create users in the identity and access management. Just click on users, create a new user. If I would like to provide access to the AWS management console, then only it is asking data center. Okay. We need to specify the user in the data center. But for now, we are removing this option. We will see this option. We will check this option later and we will see. For now, I am removing this option. Whenever I select this option, it is directly redirecting to AWS Identity Center. Leave about those things for now. Okay, leave about, ignore those things for now. I'm just adding a new user called Venkat. I'm going for the next one. And that's it. I don't have any groups for now. I'm going to create a new user. That's it. I'm going for the next and I'm creating a new user. I've created a user. Can you see? I've created a user called Venkat. Do you know how we are creating users here under IAM dashboard? I would like to create a new user, one more user called, I would like to create one more new user called Chandrakant. Okay. I would like to create one more new user called Chandrakant. I am not selecting this option. I don't want to provide access to the AWS management console. We'll understand. I'm checking this up. I'm removing this option and I'm going for next. It is asking whether you want to add a user to any particular group. Okay. I don't have any groups for now. That's the reason why I'm going with next. Okay. I'm just clicking on next. This is the next option. Let's click on next. And you can click on create user. For now, we just created user only. For now, we just created user only. I've created two users, Venkat and Chandrakant. These are the two users I have created now. And now for Venkat, okay, let me go to the Venkat. Venkat is going to work on EC2 service. And you know one thing, if you see, if a company is recruiting some people, okay, otherwise you can understand, I can put it in this way. Consider some 100 people are there or some 80 people are there who will be working on the AWS cloud, and each and everyone must be added as a user like this. Each and everyone must be added as a user like this only. And each and every user must be provided with some permissions. Just by adding Venkat here into the identity and access management, he cannot access. He cannot access. Okay. He cannot access to the what I'm saying. He cannot access, like he cannot log in. And whenever he wants to log in, you say, I would like to show you. I'm just signing out here. If anyone wants to log in as an IAM user, I'm just trying to sign in as an IAM user for now. When I'm going to sign in as an IAM user, can you see now account ID? It is asking an account ID, IAM user. Okay. IAM user, if IAM user wants to log in here, he needs to provide the account ID of the IAM user, account ID of the root user. I have shown you already where the account ID will be present. I will show you even after later also. There will be an account ID, and that account ID will consist of 12 digits. If an IAM user wants to sign in, he needs to provide the account ID of 12 digits, and he needs to provide the IAM username, and he needs to provide the password. Then only he can able to sign in as an IAM user. Then only he can able to sign in as an IAM user. Okay. So for now, what I am trying to show you is, I will again log in to the root user account. So this is the place. Whenever you log in the login dashboard itself, we have two options, root user and IAM user. Usually employees of the company who will be working under AWS account, they will log in by using IAM account only. They need to provide the account ID. Once they provide the account ID, okay, once they provide the account ID, they will just go for, they can provide, you see, either they can provide email address, account ID, or whatever it is. Okay. And they'll simply click on next so that it will ask for the password and they will join. They will click on, they will go for, they'll see the dashboard of that particular account. Okay, for now, I'm just signing as a root user only by providing my root user credentials. By providing my root user credentials, I'm trying to log in as root user only. So for now, I have created two users. One is Venkat and other one is okay, other user is Chandrakant. So for him, for these users, okay, for these users, if I would like to add some permissions, how to add the permissions? I will go to the user. I can add some permissions to the user. Add permissions. Click on add permissions. Click on add permissions. You have some options here. You can add user to the particular group. You can copy the permissions and you can attach policies. Usually we'll go for this one, attach policies. What policy I would like to attach? Consider Venkat is going to work on EC2 service. EC2 service. Then I'm searching in the search bar here like this, EC2 full access. I will attach a policy to him. Try to understand what is attaching the policy. Try to understand what is attaching a policy. I have created a user called Venkat and I'm attaching some policy to him. What is the policy I'm attaching? Amazon EC2 full access. I'm just clicking on the next and I'm adding the permissions. That's it. This is how we usually add permissions to the user. And if I go to the users again, if I go back to the users, when I click on the when I click on the username called Venkat, we can see here what are the permissions that Venkat is having. Venkat is having an access of Amazon full access, Amazon EC2 full access, only one service. Even though he can log in into the AWS account by using IAM credentials, he can able to access only one service, which is called EC2 service. Why? Because we are providing him with the permissions of Amazon EC2 full access. Okay. And there is another policy also. Suppose if you don't want to provide full access to him, if we don't want to provide full access to him, we can change this. Okay. We can change this policy also. How can we change the policy? Let me show you. So how can we do it is, we can select this policy. We can remove it, remove the policy. And I would like to add permissions, attach the policies. I will search for EC2 read access. Okay. EC2 read access, read only access. Can you see? There is one more policy which is called EC2 read only access. I'm just attaching only read only policy to the Venkat. Okay. I'm adding the permissions. That's it. Can you see now what is the policy that we have attached now? Amazon EC2 read only access. Do you know what is the difference between EC2 read only access and EC2 full access? If I provide EC2 full access, Venkat can able to launch EC2 instance. Venkat can able to connect to the EC2 instance. He can perform all the operations. He's having full access. He can perform all the operations on EC2 service. If I provide only EC2 read only, he can log into the account. He can just go to the service EC2 dashboard and he can view how many number of instances are there, how many servers are running. Okay, whenever he tries to connect, he could not connect to the server because he doesn't have EC2 full access. Okay, he cannot connect to the server because he doesn't have EC2 full access. So who will be having his read access means what? He can able to see, he can able to view the contents. He can able to view the contents. He cannot write anything. If he wants to perform anything, if he tries to change the server, if he tries to change the server configuration from t2.micro to t2.medium, consider some t2.micro server is running. And if he wants to change the configuration from t2.micro to t2.medium, he cannot perform that operation. Why? Because he's having only EC2 read operation. If he wants to perform if he wants to perform all other kinds of operations on EC2, he should have EC2 full access. Hope you understand what is the meaning of EC2 read only access, EC2 full access. I can attach multiple policies to Venkat. Okay. So let me show you. I'm deleting this one. I would like to give EC2 full access as well as EC2 full access to him. I'm searching a policy name. I'm going for add permissions. Coming down, go to the next. Sorry, add policies directly. You can search here EC2 full access. Okay, select EC2 full access. At the same time, you can also provide S3 full access. We are aware about S3 service, right? You can also select S3 full access. Click on next. We have added two policies: Amazon full access, Amazon EC2 full access, Amazon S3 full access. Click on add permissions. That's it. Can you see now? Go to the users and I'm going to a particular user called Venkat. I'm just going to Venkat. Venkat is having two policies. Venkat is having Amazon EC2 full access and Amazon S3 full access. If Venkat logs into the AWS account by using IAM credentials, he can able to interact only with the services like EC2 and S3. He cannot interact with any other services. Why? Because only these two permissions we have added to him. As an admin, I have added only these two permissions. Got it? Like this, we will restrict the access to the users. Okay, we will be providing access to the users based on their work. If they are working on EC2 service and S3 service, we will be providing access to them only for those two services. Additionally, if they require any other Additionally, if they require any access to any other service, then we will provide like this only by adding the permissions. By adding the permissions. Okay. And similarly, I will also show you how Venkat can log in with the IAM credentials and all. But before that, let's understand how to create user. This is how we create users. I've created a user called Venkat. I've created a user called Chandrakant. I have added two permissions to Venkat. Similar way, I can go to the Chandrakant. I can add some permissions to Chandrakant also. I can give some permissions to Chandrakant. Click on add permissions. Go to attach policies. Attach the policies directly. Consider Chandrakant is going to work on VPC. Okay. VPC full access. I would like to provide VPC full access. VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. I would like to provide VPC full access to Chandrakant. I'm adding the permissions. Got it? I have added one policy, which is called VPC full access. And you can go back to the users, click on Chandrakant. What is the policy that he's having? He is having an Amazon VPC full access. This is the policy that we are giving to him. Like this, users can be attached with the policies. Let's understand how to create groups. This is how we create users. How to create a group. I'm going to create a group. Consider some set of people, okay? Some set of people is going to work on a particular service called EC2 and S3. Okay, only some set of users. I'm just going to create a group. It is nothing but creating our groups in Teams, WhatsApps for a specific reason, for a specific purpose. Here also I'm creating a group, and this group is mainly related to some project. Okay, consider this group is mainly related to some project. Consider people who will be working on some project like Amazon project. Okay, Amazon project. So I'm creating a group name as Amazon, and I'm adding both the users to this particular group. Okay, even we can add users later also. After creating the group, we can even add the group users later also. But for now, you see, I'm creating a group and I'm attaching these two users to the group. I'm creating a group and I'm attaching these two users to the group. I'm simply clicking on create a user group. That's it. Group will be created. It's very simple creating users and groups here. Go to the groups. I have only one group, which is called Amazon. Meaning these two people will be working for Amazon project. Maybe some others will be there. They might be working for a different project like Flipkart or something. See, group name is nothing but not only related to the project name, but we can also create groups based on the requirement. So for now, I'm creating a group called Amazon. In this Amazon group, I have two people. One is Venkat and the other one is Chandrakant. And what are the permissions does these two people have? Venkat is already having a specific permissions. Venkat is already having two different permissions. Venkat is having two permissions like EC2 full access and S3. Chandrakant is having his own permissions. Chandrakant is having his permissions on VPC. Of course, okay. Venkat is having his permissions. Chandrakant is having his permissions. Both are different. But we can give common permissions to the group. Can you see? I have created a group. I can select the group. I can add permissions to the group. Okay. So let's understand. I'm searching for a policy called, yes, I'm going for permissions, add permissions, attach policies. Now what I'm doing is I am going to attach some policy to the group. Okay, I'm going to attach some policy to the group. What policy is? I'm going to add AWS, IAM. Okay, IAM, or otherwise you can also see there is a service called Cloud Trial or Cloud Watch. Can you see here? I'm just adding Cloud Watch. I'm going to add a particular service called Cloud Watch. I'm going to add the policy called Cloud Watch full access. Okay. I'm going to add the CloudWatch. I'm attaching the policy to them. Can you see for the group? Okay, for the group itself, I have added one policy. This is the group I have created. The group name is Amazon. And for the group, I have added one policy. What is the permission does the group is having? Group is having these permissions. Amazon CloudWatch evidently full access. This is the policy that I have attached to the group. One thing we need to understand, if I am attaching the policy to the group and the persons, these two people are already there in the group, the permissions, whatever the permissions that we are attaching to the group, those permissions will be automatically applied to the users. Why? Because I am attaching permissions to the group, meaning I am attaching permissions to all the users in the group. Can you see here? If I go to a specific user called Venkat, you can see here what are the permissions that the user is having. Three permissions now: S3 full access, EC2 full access, and CloudWatch access. These two permissions he is having individually, and these permissions he got because I added him to a group called Amazon. I added him to a group called Amazon. So what are the things that we are understanding now? We know how to create IAM users and how to attach policies to the users. Similarly, we also understood like how to create groups. There is a group created here, Amazon. Under the group, we have two users. And how to attach permissions to the group. We know how to attach permissions to the users, individual users. We also know how to attach permissions to the groups. If this is a group, click on the group, go to the permissions, add permissions, attach policies. You can attach any policy to that particular group. If you attach any policy to the group, that policy will be applicable for all the users who are present in the group. That policy will be by default applicable to all the users who are present in the group. Got it? So later, consider I'm having a group. Okay, I'm having a group. In this group, I'm having only two users. I'm going to create a new user. Okay, I'm going to create a new user. Let's take like I'm going to create a new user called Shailaja. Okay, I'm creating a new user called Shailaja. I'm just clicking on next. What I'm doing is I'm going to add this user to a particular group called Amazon. While creating the user, it is asking directly we can add the user to a particular group. There is only one group here. The option here I have selected is by default the option selected to add user to the group, so that I'm adding that user to the particular group and I'm just clicking on. If you want, we can go to the next and we can also add permissions. You see, we can also add permissions. See, if I am adding this, if we see, what can we say? If I'm creating a new user, while creating the user itself, I can directly add to the particular group. I can select the group name and I can just click on next and I can go ahead and create a user. So now this particular user got created. Can you see here? This particular user got created. Shailaja, we have created a user called Shailaja, and Shailaja is having the permissions. What permissions Shailaja is having? Shailaja is having the permissions called CloudWatch, evidently full access. Did I go permissions to Shailaja? No. I just added her to the group so that she is getting the permissions. I just added her to the group so that she is getting the permissions, whatever the permissions policies attached to the group, then those were by default, those things will get by default. She'll get by default. Any questions in understanding how to create users and how to create user groups in the IAM? I will show you how a particular user, if I take a particular user called Venkat, how can Venkat log into the AWS cloud by using IAM credentials in the next session? How can Venkat log in into the AWS cloud by using IAM credentials? We'll discuss that in the next session. Okay, whatever the users we are creating, we have three different users, right? All the users can log into the account from here. So for that, this account ID is required. Okay, this account ID is required. So we need to share, whoever the admin is creating the IAM users, he need to share this account ID, or otherwise they can also log in by using their email address. There are different ways. Okay. So we need here this account ID. This account ID must be shared with all the IAM users so that they can log in by using this account ID, root user account ID, their IAM account name, IAM password, all those things. Okay. So hope you know how to log in. Usually IAM users log in to the account from here. IAM user. Here we have two options, right? Sign in using IAM, sign in at the sign in dashboard. We have two options, root user and IAM user. If you select the usual IAM users will select the IAM user. They will provide the account ID. Click on next and they will provide the IAM username. Suppose if the IAM username is Venkat, Venkat should provide the password. Venkat should set some password. Okay. Once Venkat sets the password, then Venkat can log in by using these credentials, account ID of the account ID of the owner, IAM username, and the password. He can sign in. Even if he signs into the account, okay, even if he sign in into the account, Venkat can only access only few services. Can you tell me what services can Venkat can able to access even if he signs in, if he sign into the account? I have provided him EC to full access, S3 full access, and also one more policy got attached when I added him to the group. What is the policy that I have attached? Cloud Watch full access something. He can able to access only those three services even if he signs into the account. Any questions in understanding what is IAM? Make sure, okay, you need to understand IAM is mainly related to the administrator, adding users, providing access to the users. IAM is mainly for providing access to the AWS resources. If a person newly joins the company, how can we provide access to the AWS resource? By using IAM service, which is called Identity and Access Management. And we will also provide some permissions to the AWS. We'll also provide some permissions. I have shown you how to create users, how to create groups, all those things. If you have any questions, we'll discuss. Any questions, Chandrakant or Venkat?